A little bit about my background, just quickly. Besides being new as the executive director of the Bicycle Alliance and doing the Women Bike Blogs thing out of love and some movie time with my family, I used to direct communications for Washington State University Spokane. I started our Twitter account, started our Facebook page, did a lot of our social media. So when I talk about blogging, it is in that context of having thought about strategic communications and why we would. So the Alabama question answer is, this is why you do a blog, because you can't possibly tweet or Facebook everything. So what you can do with a blog, this is a long list. This is really the answer to the question, what can you do with social media? And Mary touched on some things that the arts organizations are doing. It's a web traffic driver. So when you are thinking about your website and you want lots of stats on your website and those pages stay the same day after day after day, a blog you have to feed. It's the troll under the bridge and must be fed daily. But it brings people to your site with things that change up. So there are a lot of reasons you'd be doing blogging or any kind of social media, but I would really say the blog is your first backbone after your website. Reason number one is that we are the media. I'm from the state of Washington. I will go ahead and ask this. Has anybody heard anything that one of my state legislators said recently? Where did that happen first? That was not in a print newspaper. Or it's on the web. It got picked up in blog posts everywhere. It was tweeted long before any editor had any chance to decide whether to run with the story or not. The story was going. So when you write a blog, you are putting your own story out. It is your voice and your message. If you have a strategic message platform as a professional organization, your blog should be embodying those messages. You're not telling random stories, you're telling stories that fulfill who you want the public to understand you to be. And somebody told me a while back the best advice I've had in social media, if it is not worth sharing, why are you posting it? This might answer the cat picture question too. So whatever you are creating, if you are using multiple platforms, share it in all of them. The arts organization that is using 17 platforms probably has 3 FTE doing that, so I wouldn't go there, but if you're in those platforms, be using them so they stay alive. And a blog is a place to respond in real time, in a place that everybody can see it. Not everybody is on Facebook. A lot of them are, but there is that chunk of people who are not. And so if they're not on Facebook, but they are on the web, they can find your blog and interact with you there. It really builds a sense of community. Now, I know because we are bike advocates, we have seen the trolls who comment about bike things, threaten to run us off the road in the comments on the local paper. That's the dark side of the comment space, but you really can foster a sense of community, and if you are building your supporters, they are there for you, they will respond, they will push the bad comments down with the good comments. I will say, having worked as a public employee, if you are a public organization, public agency, and I would say this is true for nonprofits too, you really need to have a comment policy, make it visible so people can see it, and don't be afraid to use it. If you have said that the intent of your comment space is to maintain a civil tone, then you can maintain a civil tone. That is your blog, that is not their blog. I think there's a deep sense of entitlement that the web has fostered, but you don't have to make it an ugly space. You're creating the space for a reason, and it's yours. I'm very verbose. Despite being quite the tweeter, I also write very long form, and I realized that I should start a blog because most of my comments on other people's blogs were more than 2 paragraphs long. So that's a post right there. And you can also, with your blog, show who you are in the context of the bike world or your community or among women or whatever community you want to be a part of. You have a place to link to other people's blogs and to show that you're part of their world. And it's easy to link, and that drives traffic back to your blog too, so you can be selfish and generous at the same time. Now, womenbikeblogs.com was this funny little quest of mine. I was going to start a blog, and I wanted to be good, and I wanted to add value. And so I was kind of looking at what other people were writing, and then I'd see, oh, they had 5 blogs linked, and I'd go look at those blogs, and I was getting lost, so I started a spreadsheet, and now it has 818 blogs on it. So I just kind of didn't stop. It is a very serendipitous data collection method. This is not science. I guess it's a snowball technique if it's anything. And so that means I am missing lots of blogs. I will put that out there right now. If I'm missing your blog, when you look at this list, please do tweet me. It is blogs written by women or by a team that includes a significant woman's voice. I am wrestling with the cycle chic question because a lot of cycle chic blogs are not necessarily written by women. got them on there, but I kind of like this on that. This is all kinds of voices. The funnest thing about this sort of accidental quest was what women were blogging about when it came to biking. It is not just happy ladies on Mary Poppins bikes like mine that I commute on, or women racing aggressively downhill on a mountain bike. It was everything. And some of them blog regularly. Some, if I said, "Are you still blogging?" they'd say, oh, right, I'll blog some more. It's funny, the attention that got them writing again. It builds community in other ways, and you'll see a theme spread across blogs. And there's a blogger here in DC. Does anybody read Chasing Mailboxes? Yes. So have you gone coffee nerding or a rand? Okay, so you know what these things are. I'm not a randoner, but I have a board member who is. The funny small world story is that he came up with the term coffee nerding, and he knows her, and he mentioned it to her, and by the time he got home, she had a blog post up and was doing this. If you're a randoner, you go point to point, and you have to follow some rules, and you fill out a control card. So she comes up with these ideas for things to do on your bike that are like randonering, but not nearly so long or rigorous. And so coffee nerding was go to lots of coffee shops. Randonering was run errands off by bike, just fun things. She starts it and somebody else does it and blogs about it, and somebody else does it and blogs about it. So for those of us working in advocacy organizations, I would say, what is it that you would start, that you think your community would really resonate around? It's handy if it can have a hashtag, but what is it that would be special to your community? It doesn't have to be something everybody else already did. And you may start a national or international movement accidentally, just by blogging about it. Cycle Femme, I don't know if it was here by any chance. Yes, a ride that's promoted online, that's just go out and ride on that day. All kinds of things that are community building, both within your geographic community and then across spaces. So this is the Chasing Mailboxes website with the randonnée. I cheated, I did some walking because I live too close to work. I blogged about coffee nerding because it's kind of weird not to have a coffee cup in my hand right now. A lot of people did this. The 30 days of biking, how many of you have done, yes. April and September are months with 30 days. You ride every day, even if all you're doing is going around the block and going back home. I did it once in September 2 years ago, so this was their registration as of a couple of days ago. And Cycle Femme. Now, as I said, not scientific data, nothing like Pew data. This is me looking at my spreadsheet very quickly. But what struck me when I compiled the list of how many, and a lot of these blogs, you don't tell me where you are in your about you, and I did go read profiles and try to figure out where people were from. So this is the blogs where it's evident what state you are in. The number 1 state is California, the number 2 is Washington. Those happen to be the 2 states that sent 2 women to the United States Senate. That just jumped out at me when I looked at that. And Washington, my state, is the number 1 bike-friendly state. So if you set these up against rankings, they do pretty well with the league's rankings. And women in office, I didn't look at state legislatures, but I think it would be interesting. City data, Seattle's number 1, ahead of Portland. So some of this is clearly just population density, but not all of it. And I don't know if women blogging gets more people writing, or people writing gets more women blogging. It's probably both and. In terms of blogging for connections, which is the last theme I wanted to touch on, it does lead to people talking in real life. I'm supposed to try to find Gypsy Bug, who's chasing mailboxes, and go for a bike ride with her while I'm here, and that's just because I know her through a blog. If you do media relations, you should be reaching out to bloggers as part of your media relations effort. And if you're a reporter, you should be reading blogs to see what's going on. And if you don't want to start one, you can write for others and just kind of dip your toe in and find out if this is something you really want to keep up with. This is the personal connection interaction that I had with Gypsy Bug, because I told her I was going to talk about coffee nerding, and I thought it was so cool. So we had this whole little Twitter exchange. So all of these spaces feed each other in a way. I use a lot of exclamation points too, especially when I tweet. So I did get through in my 1 minute, and I can either do questions now or, as you suggested, just wait till the end and wrap up then.